We also have a variety of speakers associated with the industry, but who perhaps be putting a rather different interpretation upon the ambitions that the Parliament and the European Union generally should be setting for the industry over the forthcoming months as legislation is brought before us. We know that emissions from the car sector of the transport industry amount to some 12% of all greenhouse emissions. And when we think of the amount of time devoted to aviation, I think that's a significant nut to crack. We can make a sizable difference if we could make a 25% reduction over the next few years from that section.
I will not dwell too much about transport and environment, but for those who don't know us, we are an NGO with 44 members across the whole of Europe. This is what tells you that if Europe wants to get its CO2 emissions in grip, as it is promising with its goal to reduce with 20% until 2020, then it is vital that it gets transport CO2 emissions in grip. This slide shows you that transport is the only sector that grows both over the past 1.5 decades as in most of the future scenarios if there is no intervention. All other sectors are reducing. Now, of transport, cars are the single largest chunk of transport's emissions. That is why it's vital to get cars' emissions in grip.
What is the consumer's interest in energy efficiency? And then, well, it's a little surprising maybe for a consumer representative to be talking for a supply side policy, because normally we say we want the demand side to be stronger, but in this special area of policy we think that the supply side is what we needed. There is a very strong pressure on both the car industry and on the consumer as a car user. Something has to happen, and well, we have the climate policy on the one hand and the consumer and car industry on the other hand.
That it's possible to build a gasoline car, highly powerful, at a price which is cheaper than a diesel, at the same, a better performance and similar consumption. Next, please. But this car can be much better. So we try now by retrofit to change the consumption of this vehicle. And you see how much reduction you can achieve. And mostly you're in the range of 2%, 3%, 4%. Only the gearbox gives you a higher reduction range. And you see we bring down this vehicle from 7.2 liter down to a level which is below 5 liter or less than 120 grams. Going from 173 to less than 120.
The car industry is taking its responsibility seriously. What you see in the front of you are the different technologies that we have been introducing throughout the years. You see that in the years 97 to 2000 there's a new generation of advanced diesels, gasoline direct injection engines, in 2001 turbochargers, 2002 fully variable valve lift and timing technology combined with GDI, 2003 7-speed fuel economy optimized automatic transmissions, 2004 new generation turbocharged small displacement diesel engines, etc., etc. There's a whole range of technologies that the industry has been introducing throughout the last decade to increase the efficiency of the cars, to decrease the CO2 emissions. There is absolutely no question about that. The Commission itself in 2006 has recognized that the car industry has delivered a sizable contribution to the EU strategy for reducing greenhouse gas emissions and to its CO2 reduction objectives. This is the Commission's own statement.
Where I think it's very important here is that what you deliberate in Europe is very important, because lots of the world, parts of the world, follows the European lead, not the US lead and not necessarily the Japanese lead, but follows Europe. So it's very important to, from our viewpoint, to set tight standards in the European scene so that the rest of the world can follow suit. Some of the restrictions you can see here, and this is important as you debate here about the 140 and the 120. The legislature posed these. It was not very specific in what could be done, but was very specific in what could not be done. So no fees or taxes on vehicles, no ban on sale of any vehicle category, no mandated reduction in vehicle weight, no limitation on or reduction of speed limit or vehicle miles traveled. And in fact, the regulation didn't have any of those.
But let me make 3 points on what I heard. And the first point I would like to address is the context of what we are doing here, what we are discussing. And let's not forget that the context, real down to earth, is a credibility test for the EU when it comes to deliver on its climate change obligations put into law. That means the Kyoto Protocol, minus 8% reduction in 2012 on 1990 levels. We follow and monitor our progress and lack of progress. And lack of progress is in the transport sector. Everything taken together, not only cars, but in the transport sector, it's alarming. We reduce our emissions in the industry sector with sometimes up to 20%, and we let increase our emissions in the transport sector by more than 20, 25, we even fear up to 30%. So, if we are not going to address significantly the emissions in the transport sector, we are going to neutralize, what we are currently doing, the progress painfully met in the other sectors. So that's the challenge.
I really share the same opinion as the Commission that probably the transport is in debt to the climate change contribution or to the improvement of climate change. We have heard the consumer union, we have heard the manufacturers, we have heard also the high-tech, the technologists, and also the environmentalists. And now I think you have many questions, and I really found some disagreement between the technologies and between your statement about the prices of the high technologies. Probably the manufacturers will have something to say, but let's open the discussion and we will find out.
My name is Frank van West. I'm from the FIA Foundation, and here I'm representing the FIA, and the FIA is representing more than 40 million motorists in Europe. And I have a question for Dr. Lell. You just said that the market doesn't reflect the private consumer's interest, and where did you get that?
I got that information from our member organization, VCD, a transport club in Germany. The calculation was that, well, the market for new cars is, does not represent so much the private consumer's interest, because the commercial consumers are very much dominant in that market.
Going on to the subject of possible legislation, and I don't expect our guests from the Commission to comment on this, but I'd be interested in the views of the various panel members on, I suspect that whether we like it or not, legislation is inevitable in the field now. So I'm interested in the detail and what form it should take.
I think that what is now at stake is what's to be done immediately after the voluntary agreement comes to an end. And the emissions trading scheme that we have is not up for changes before the 1st of January 2013. So there is a timing problem, and so we are not looking into trading options for the successor regulation, so to speak, or policy of the voluntary agreement.